Are we going to talk about this? Joe, you do realise we are going to have to talk?
I just don't think it's necessary.
Well, I do. I think it's best if we talk now.
I didn't mean what I said. And quite frankly, I was misquoted.
What do you mean misquoted?
Well, that wasn't exactly what I said. At least not in the context. And you should know that she just relayed it to you in layman's terms.
But why say it at all if you didn't really mean it?
I just think you should stop thinking about this. Ruminating over it clearly isn't doing you any favours.
Oh, you're so right. Thank you for the concern.
Now's not the time.
And when's the time?
One of my plants died. I need to tend to it.
You've got to understand, you can't just spring something like that on me and
I told you to just let it go.
What do you mean, let it go? An admission like that cannot be forgotten, at least not by me.
You're giving this way more credence than it requires. It wasn't an admission, it was just a stupid remark made in the spur of the moment.
Well, don't you think there was some conviction behind it? I mean, it couldn't have just been a stupid remark, could it?
There was absolutely no conviction. I want you to spare me the psychoanalysis.
Why does it bother you so much then? If it was just an offhanded remark? Maybe we aren't so different after all.
What did you mean by that?
By what?
You know what I'm talking about. Us not being so different.
I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Look, you don't really believe what I said, do you?
Oh, I can't help it. You're not even up for discussing it.
I don't understand, Liv. We've been in a healthy and successful relationship for over a year.
What do you mean successful? How do you even measure success in this context?
Think of everything we've been through. I was there for all of your launches, all of your showcases. I mean, I even put up with a perpetually messy apartment. It's obvious that I do care about you. Think of what we have. It can't all be washed away just because I said something stupid.
Something stupid? Well, that's awfully reductive. You know, I find it utterly fascinating how you've managed to trivialise this whole situation.
You still haven't answered my question.
Why don't you try answering mine first?
I really wish I could take it back. Is that what you want me to say?
Jesus Christ, Joe. You're so utterly unaware of the situation. It's not about what you told, but rather how you told it.
Would you have reacted any differently if I was acerbic with you? From the beginning, if I was brutally honest, how would you feel?
I don't know, but that's besides the point.
So maybe you haven't been liberated from your inhibitions.
Why don't you help me then, Freud?
How could I possibly help you?
By being honest with me. By clearing the air once and for all. That is all the closure I'm after. Tell me, do you really feel that way about me?
Yes. But you could change my mind.
Do we have any info about the film?
Not really. Just a synopsis. Oh, apparently it's his first film.
So there's been a revelation that's affected this couple, and the film essentially takes place shortly after that revelation. We need to figure out what that revelation is.
I have an inkling that Joe's been unfaithful. Right off the bat, you observe this awkward tension in the atmosphere, perhaps as a result of the revelation. Joe doesn't really spend much time in the living room, and whenever he does pass by, he refuses to maintain eye contact with Liv. The blocking also seems to suggest a sense of guilt on his part, highlighted by the fact that he has his back turned for the majority of the opening scene.
That does...
I hadn't finished. Where was I? Yes, the dead plant. The dead plant was what fascinated me the most. Now, the dead plant is symbolic of Joe's spirit within the bonds of this relationship. Now, Joe wants to care for his plants. Living in an apartment with no outdoor space, he yearns to nurture them in his terrarium. Now, Joe's clearly got a green thumb, right? So, under those conditions, all of those plants must survive, or all of them must die. But only one does. What could that signify?
The revelation in question has to do with something Joe said. So how could Joe's infidelity be the revelation?
Joe's been unfaithful. And perhaps, in the process, he's confided his dissatisfaction with the relationship to a friend.
That doesn't sound right. You're certainly on the right track with infidelity. And this may answer your question, Susan. But I think it's Liv rather than Joe who's been unfaithful.
Why do you feel that way?
Liv's scale model, which you conveniently forgot about, permeates radiant symbolism. There is Modigliani's famous female head. The long and narrow face serves as a representation of her guilt. It's accompanied by what looks to be Modigliani himself, forming an association between the two. But that's not what piqued my interest. See, just to the left of Modigliani is a sculpture that works as an inverse to the female head. The elongated hat could perhaps be a representation of wisdom, of intellect, qualities that Liv simply does not discern in Joe. This scale model is symbolic to the situation that she has brought on the couple. And perhaps the most damning evidence of this is how the use of the marble sculptures evokes imagery from Jean-Luc Godard's Le Mépris. And we all know what happened to the central couple in that film.
If it was infidelity on Liv's part, then why would Joe want to take back whatever it was that he said?
Joe probably confronted Liv, who must have denied the accusation. And now, with him being conflicted of the whole incident, probably wished he never said anything in the first place.
How do you account for the wilted plant?
I think the dead plant is not a representation of Joe's spirit, but rather of Liv's presence in Joe's life.
Why tend to the wilted plant then? What could that action signify?
Well, and he stops tending to the plant soon enough. He's seen going into the lounge and he doesn't return for the rest of the film.
Perhaps it's meant to signify his conflicting thoughts. He's unsure at the start of the film, which is when he tries to tend to the plant. But then by the end of the film, he seems a lot more certain of Liv's infidelity.
I don't think it has anything to do with infidelity. I think the revelation is more simple. Joe doesn't consider Liv to be a good artist, or even an artist for that matter.
How did you arrive at that conclusion?
The dialogue seems purposefully written in this ambiguous tone, which raises the question of the hour: what is the revelation? When I consider the film as a whole, including the staging of the action and the general demeanor of the characters,
I don't feel like either of them have been unfaithful. When I try to put myself in Liv's shoes, I don't see infidelity. I see a partner, for some inexplicable reason, doesn't believe in you or your work, a partner who can't acknowledge your capabilities, and a partner who's afraid of that fact.
But that doesn't mean anything.
Why? Just because I let feelings arise before intellect.
What about the wilted plant?
perhaps it's a representation of Joe's guilt?
He's obviously been affected by what's transpired, and perhaps his inability to deal with the wilted plant mirrors his inability to tell Liv how he truly feels.
Well, what about Liv's scale model?
I don't know.
Me neither.
That makes 3 of us.